upside down cake. Thank you, baby. Grazie. Okay, so apple upside down cake, and you guys can really just substitute the apple with any fruit you prefer. Hello from Belize. Thank you. All right, so we're live on Instagram and YouTube. I just started YouTube, and I want to do this so YouTube gets the full effect. And I do have a great young gentleman that is going to fix up my YouTube for all the people that request that I have my ingredients list on YouTube. It's coming, people. So this is super simple. I like to use, nobody wants to be in the kitchen all the time cleaning up. So let's keep it minimal. I take this non-stick copper and I saute my apples in here. I make the caramel in here, and I just pour the cake batter once it's made onto this, and it goes straight into the oven. Super, super simple. Wasn't this cake insane? My viewers on Instagram are telling me how insane this cake is, and it really is so super, and it's so tasty. You need to get started with the caramel with 1 cup of sugar. That's going to be your caramel, and I'm bringing that over. And just pour it into your pan. Nothing else is in the pan, just the 1 cup of sugar. Turn it on and let it do its thing. Oh, I made a boo-boo. This was the second time I tried a different thing, and I gotta tell you guys, my kids couldn't notice, but I did. I like to saute the apples. So these are 5 small Granny Smith apples. They're small ones. See how small the little slices are. And all I did was basically just slice them up. Make sure you take the core out. I'm going to pour this into another pan. Here, I thought I was going to be really savvy and smart and not get too many dishes going, but I have to. Oh, well. So I'm going to add these apples to the second pan. Just add them in there. Well, why don't we put some butter before? You could do it either way. But I'm going to add some butter to my pan. I really am usually. Let's put 2 tablespoons in there. Here's 1. Now this is going to go right into the caramel after the caramel is done. And so while the caramel is going, you do nothing with it. You saw the video. If my YouTube viewers didn't, I put a video of me preparing the caramel stupidly. I have to say stupidly, because I should have known that was going to happen. Stupidly, I prepared it in the Pyrex dish, and it just exploded on me. Thank God nobody was hurt. Pour the apples. This is 5 small ones. You could do probably, depending on how big the diameter of your pan is that you're going to make the cake in, you could go 3 even, make small ones. 3 large Granny Smith apples is what I'm trying to get out. We're going to put a pinch of salt on top of the apples. If I could speak today, it would be useful. I did drizzle the apples with some fresh lemon juice just so they don't oxidize or change color. Apples do that. Potatoes do that. And if you see little thingies hanging onto the apples, make sure they're not the pit. And we're just going to saute this. Just some butter and salt while this is going. Nasreen, honey, how are you? Hi, everybody. Okay, let me grab, don't see a tissue here. I like having tissues around for my fingers. Okay, so the ingredients, let me run over the ingredients for you guys. For the caramel, you need 1 cup of sugar, pinch of salt, okay? We're gonna, well, just watch. Here's what you need for the cake. Let's do it this way, it's easier. 1.5 cups of flour, but you need to measure it, which should be 232 grams of flour. 232 grams of flour, if you're measuring, it's a little less than 1.5. 1/3 of a cup sugar. We're gonna add that to the flour, to the dry ingredients. 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 large eggs. I have 1 medium-sized egg, and I have 2 itty-bitty ones that one of them has a crack. I want to use it, so I'm going to put basically 3 small eggs. 1/2 cup of oil. I use avocado oil. You could use butter if you prefer, but oil is better because butter, once it cools, it'll condense again. Your cake will turn out a little bit more like pound cakey. So try and stay away from that if you don't like it. Vanilla and caramel we're making. To the caramel, once this gets nice and hot and caramelly, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of butter because we're going to make it into a caramel sauce. And then we're going to add about 1/4 cup of heavy cream to it. And then boom, we're going to add the batter. Here's the apples. We're just sauteing. And you know, Crazy Sarah could do this and let the caramel become its thing here. That way YouTube and Instagram has a better view. So just a quick saute on this. What it does is when you put this through this quick saute, you're just going to get it to release some of its juices, and it'll get a little softer once you add it to the bottom of your pot. You guys saw, I posted it. It was perfection. It comes out golden gorgeous. We have this very, very fancy, it's actually not fancy, but it's very sought after restaurant in Beverly Hills called the Ivy. And the Ivy serves the most spectacular, I see a little pit, the most spectacular, they're known for their apple tartine, apple tartine. And I used to get that for special parties. I used to order it. You can do that, not just I. And get that and serve it at your parties. That apple tartine is divine. And I have to tell you, this apple upside down cake, it's pretty much that. It's just my apples. Hi, hello from New York City. My apples are sliced thinner because I do it. Make sure you cook for your loved ones or whoever your audience is, I'd like to say. Cook according to their desires. My kids don't like a big old hunk of apple in their cake, so I like to make them thin. But over at the Ivy, I think it's like quarters of apples. They just take them and quarter them and put them. They do this with it. Oh my God. And then the topping over at the Ivy is not a cake batter. It's the dough. That's something too. But I prefer this. My kids, it's really easy in the morning. They cut a slice, they eat it in the car. It doesn't crumble and fall apart. And it's just the right amount of sweetness because the cake is not that sweet. The other thing you can do is do pears in the bottom. You can do plum, cherries, pineapple. Good Lord, possibilities are endless. Oh, I see another pit from the lemon that I squeezed over. And the caramel is such a beautiful texture with the apple. The apple, it kind of was marmaladed. It was just insane. I couldn't stop eating the apples. There's another pit. There it goes. All right, my apples are done. These are done. You see, not too much. Cherries. I know you're waiting for the cherry pie. There's this beautiful Persian market here, and they bring the most insane fresh cherries. Give me another week. I know they're coming. I like to make them out of fresh cherries. You've asked for cherry pie. So turn that off. My caramel is still becoming caramel. There it is, the goo in the corner. I'm not going to put anything in there. I'm just going to let this become its thing. Is that sugar? Yeah. Okay. This is going to become its thing, people. Look at it. Isn't that beautiful? Cherry pie. You know, Persians have the most spectacular, delicious rice we make with cherries. I made it for Cinco de Mayo. It was crazy good. I think I had a dish maybe about the size of a cup left over. And then the other thing I tried to do for Cinco de Mayo was, I'm right here, people, was I have three different types of rice that I made. And what I decided to do was I decided to make the bottom, the tahdig of all of them. You know, the crispy rice that everybody loves, the tahdig. I made the bottom of that into sliced potatoes. All the bottoms had sliced potatoes. So it comes out, it's just crispy goodness. You don't do anything. What? Why would yours stick? No, you see, I'm doing nothing. I'm doing nothing. Here's what happens. So you add nothing to your pan. You have to have either a non-stick pan. It doesn't have to be a non-stick pan, because the first time I made it in my cast iron skillet. So you make it in your non-stick pan. I guess it's easier. You do nothing. It needs nothing. But then did you add the butter? You add butter, 2 tablespoons of butter, right about now. You're not going to kill it if you go too early, because this is going to go into the oven. The caramel is becoming gorgeous around the corners. You see that? Oh my. 2 tablespoons. I have fringes hanging and I don't want to catch on fire on live TV. That would just be the way it would happen. You know, we just chug along. 2 tablespoons of butter goes into my caramel. That wasn't really 2 tablespoons. I'm cheating. 2 tablespoons of butter. And now always be aware of your heat. I turned it down a little bit. Okay, see what I'm doing, because I'm not reading. I can't read right now. I can't take my eye off of this. So 2 tablespoons of butter. So I'm turning, basically this process is taking your caramel and making it into a caramel sauce really quickly. Here it is. This is gonna flop all over. And then about a 1/4 cup of heavy cream, right about there. Mix this up, turn the heat off. I'm going to turn the heat off right now and get this to become gooey, saucy perfection. So this is a sauce now. It comes out of the caramel state, right? Did we do this? It hardened, you gotta turn it off right away. And it's fine, whatever it does, let it do its thing. And now is when I'm going to add the apples to this. This is perfection, right? Oh my God, smells out of this world. And I just pour the apples over. So super simple, people. Just get them everywhere. Now, I've made this cake over and over again. I've shown you guys. So it is, and several people have made it already, tagged me. This is such a good snack too. After school, the kids come home, they just have a slice. My husband has this after he drops off the kids or after he goes for a long walk. There it is. That's the bottom. That's the bottom of the cake. And I'm going to taste this. It is hardening. It's okay. You let it be. It's becoming candy. Hello from Cyprus. I love you. This is becoming like toffee, right? Taffy. But we leave it be. Oh my gosh, so good. Just let it sit aside. I'll set it here. And now my dry ingredients. Sorry, my YouTubers. They're watching me as I'm trying to manage this. I'm a little cook today. So over here, I have my 232 grams of flour. Really, I hate to say 1.5 cups because it's really less than 1.5. You have to measure. You have to measure. It is utmost important. Sometimes it's not, but on this, in this case, on this recipe, it is. 1/3 cup of sugar, which I added to this. And then I'm going to add the caramel stuck to my finger, people. We're going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder to this. And I'm adding it in here. Here's 1 and 2. I do know how to measure in my hand, but you guys use a measuring spoon. Okay. And then we're going to whisk. We're not going to whisk. What am I saying? We're going to sift it. And over here is hot, hot, hot. We're going to sift this into this bowl so everybody can see what I'm doing. I know I'm right here. I know you're all thinking, what happened? Where did she go? Okay. So we're going to sift the dry ingredients. Always sift. I know I repeat myself over and over again, but I'm going to show you guys why we're always sifting. Because when you're, this is also why you're measuring and you're not just clumping it out of the bowl. These hard pieces will go in there and they'll ruin your cake, your batter. These hard pieces weigh differently than when you sift. That's why you weigh, rather than packing up the cup. Run your finger through. There is a nice hard piece in here. Nice hard piece that doesn't want to go through, and I'm not going to force it. It's like a ice cube of sugar. There you go. So many reasons why my cake would be ruined. There are the dry ingredients, and I'm going to just take my wooden spoon, and now I'm going to add 2 large eggs, or if you are like me and you have lots of eggs around, pick and choose. I have one that has a crack in it already and I want to get rid of it because it's going to be a liability. Here's 1 egg right in the middle. And then what I like to do is just really kind of go at my own pace. Black and flour all over me. I'm going to add another pinch of salt, just a tiny pinch. We're going to add our 1/3 cup of milk to this. And then it calls for 1/3 cup of oil. I'm going to add avocado oil to it. So this batter, technically, I want to say it's very similar to And I still haven't gotten to my egg that has a crack in it. Very similar to a pancake batter. Somebody asked me on my DM to show you guys American pancake. It's very similar to this. Oiled butter or oiled milk. Sorry, oiled butter. What am I saying? And always, always, always have your recipe handy. Look it over and say, huh, this is good. So, yep, I'm good to go. Now I need my oil, 1/3 cup of oil. Here we go. 1/3 cup oil, 1/3 cup milk. I prefer avocado oil. You guys choose any oil you like. And I still have one more egg because my eggs were not large. There we go. It really is like a pancake batter. And there's the egg that was cracked. Oh, I lost a piece. I see it. Go one at a time always. It has to blend really well. And you can also see if you lose a piece. Or you could use another dish, crack it in there, put it back in here. I don't do that. But if you prefer doing that, more power to you. Can I tell you guys, as I'm mixing it, it kind of feels like pastry filling. A little looser. Now, 2 tablespoons of butter to this. I always say that, but I always add less than I should. That's 2 tablespoons. That really is 2 tablespoons. And my butter is so soft, I don't need to melt it. Vanilla, if you like, but I'm gonna go funky today. Not too funky, but I'm going to go for rose water. Oh, reminds me of ice cream. Really, half a teaspoon is all you need. If you want to put vanilla, go for it. This is just to balance out the smell of the egg. Oh my God, it smells so good. Yummy. Done. Our cake batter is done. Let me look over my ingredients. Yeah, we're done, people. You could make your caramel with water. I never do. So, it works just fine. Now, this bowl doesn't want to agree. I put it right in the center. Right in the center. And then I'm going to scoop it out. There it is. And I will, you know how stingy I am with my batter and my food. I will get my plastic spatula and literally scrape the bottom of this down all the way, because that's a whole other bite. There it is. Get it all out there. We're going to bake this at 350 for about 25 minutes. This is going to cook really quickly. This is just it's a very thin cake. It's not going to be this deep, dense cake. It's very thin layer. I think it's the perfect way for people that want to make apple tartane or upside down with a really thin layer of cake over it so you really taste the apple. It's not so cakey. And it's kind of maybe an easier way of making it than dealing for whoever kind of doesn't want to deal with the pastry, making a pastry dough and laying it on top of all of that. Or how about a quicker way of making apple pie? Apple pies are our favorite in this house. My kids adore apple pie. This is a quicker, easier way to make apple pie version-ish, where your kids or your husband can have a slice at any time. Apple pie kind of gets crumbly and becomes messy to eat. They can't just grab it on the go. And yes, we do Granny Smith because they're kind of not as sweet as the other apples. And it turns out really delicious once it's cooked. Now, this is going to have apples around the edge. Look at the caramels moving around. Do you guys see? Just going to put this in the oven, 350 for about 25 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. Keep my clothes on. And when I bring it out, the problem is this is bigger than my cake dish. So when I flop it over, some apples are going to get all over the place. It's okay. Just scoot them back in and enjoy. So good warm. Put a scoop of vanilla ice cream. Oh my God. Or, oh my God, vanilla bean ice cream right over it, and it'll melt and get gooey all over. That's it. We're going to go into the oven. Thank you for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe and the notification bell. That way you'll know when I come on. And you guys, my dear,